Welcome to Mental Health Monday. I just simply wanted to drop something in your spirit really quickly. In church, those who grew up in church or may attend church right now, we often hear a whole lot about sowing. And there's a whole lot of emphasis on the sowing, but rarely is there emphasis on the soil. And so I just want to extract something that I learned from personal experience over the weekend. You all remember me talking about the debacle in my front yard, how we had a water leak and had to find it. And so my entire front yard it had to be dug up, right? And so my husband came in after it was all said and done, and he was like, babe, we got so much dirt. Like, I don't need to find some place to put it. I'm gonna have to put it in the backyard. There's so much dirt that we've dug up. And it's something about when you dig dirt up, it's hard to get it to fit back in the same space. It's gotta be something to that. I don't know exactly what it is, but that'll probably preach too. So he's got all this dirt and he's trying to figure out a place to put it. And I told him, I said, listen, go and put that in my raised bed. Hey, that is amazing. I just last year went and got me a bunch of fertilizer from a farm. I took time out of my schedule, rented something to go and pick up literally fertilizer, horse poop and dirt, and made sure I brought it to the house so that I could put it in my raised bed so that my plants could have wonderful forms of nitrogen and things like that, right? So he takes the dirt and hauls it back to my raised beds and pours it in there. Now, I didn't think much about it. I hadn't been out there because it was so cold outside. It was too soon to plant. Didn't think anything about it. I go to attempt to get some seeds started in my raised bed. Looked at the dirt that he put in there, and it was full of rocks and almost clay type soil. Nothing could grow in there. So the frustration that I felt in looking at that, a choice that I made without inspecting the soil, the choice that I made to have that dirt put in a place that I had prepared to grow things. And so I want to talk about the problems that are caused in the relationships that we choose, and we allow ourselves to be connected. We've sown our time, we've sown our energy, we've sown our compassion, we've sown it into these relationships, not realizing the type of soil that we were sowing into. And so there's some dangers that come from that. And one of that is limited growth. Now, I knew that nothing was going to grow there but weeds and crabgrass. I absolutely knew it. But I was like, let me just for the sake of trying, let me go on and put a baby tomato plant in there, right? And so I put a seedling of tomato plant in there, and sure enough, it did absolutely nothing. Because what rocky soil does is it restricts personal growth. You're not going to be able to grow tomato plants. You're not going to be able to grow and flourish in regard to your own mental health. You're not going to be able to grow and flourish when it comes to rocky soil, clay type soil. It simply is not a right environment for growth, all right? It's going to prevent you from flourishing. Some things are going to grow there, but it's not going to be anything that is nourishing to your body. Another thing that rocky soil does, and sowing into it, is it creates extra effort and frustration. So first and foremost, the extra effort for me came from, now I gotta dig this stuff up. And I've got to go and buy more soil to amend the little bit that's left in there, right? So I'm getting a shovel and I'm having to do the extra effort to get that out. You ever been in a relationship and it seems like you're exhausted all the time? It creates so much effort to keep this going. And even with that effort, it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Perhaps because you refuse to do a complete overhaul and just let it go. It's time for me to make some judgment calls here. I'm going to have to replace some things here. Not only that, it's frustration. Looking at that and realizing that, wait a minute, I allowed this to happen. Now I've got to deal with it. I've either got to amend some things or I'm going to have to do a complete overhaul. Another thing is that it creates an unfavorable environment. It is unfavorable. It doesn't matter how much makeup you put on, how much of a good suit you put on. You can put on Jimmy Choo cologne, whatever it is that you are trying to do to try and make this thing work. It's simply an unfavorable environment. All right. And so if you're in that type of relationship right now and you're just feeling like, man, there's nothing I can do. Yes, it is. You may have to amend that soil. It may require, if you're really serious about this relationship, it may require some in-depth counseling to go together and get some relationship counseling. There are some things that are going to have to be hauled out, all right? Also is going to continue to cause emotional distress, and as well as going to continue to cause negative experiences. You want a supportive environment, an environment where you can grow, where the other person can grow, where your future can grow together. Otherwise, it's going to prevent and stunt growth, all right? The next thing, again, is that it may simply cause a complete reevaluation of the situation. It's going to create a need for change. Something's got to change if you want something to grow. Now, if I wanted to leave my raised beds like that and just say, forget it, I'm done with it, it's over. I invested too much time, too much energy, went last year, got all that fertilizer, poured that in there. I'm just frustrated. I'm just going to accept it as it is. And that's some of you all right now. You're accepting rocky soil as it is because you're tired. You've been in relationship after relationship and it just doesn't seem like it's going to work for you. So you're just settled right there. I'm just going to accept the fact that nothing is going to grow. I'm just going to accept the fact that this is rocky and anytime I put my hand in it, I hurt myself. I'm just going to accept the fact that this is going to create something that is unfavorable and it's just going to grow things that are not edifying to my spirit and edifying to my future and edifying to my mental health. And so I'm just going to accept it. It's just going to be as it is. It's just not going to grow and this is how it's going to always be. To you, I say what my granddaughter said as she was watching a television show yesterday. The devil is a liar. We're not accepting things in this season. We're not just going to accept not growing. We're not just going to accept even if we allowed someone to bring it into our space and bring it into our area and we allowed it to be connected to what it is important to us. We're not just going to accept it. We're going to reevaluate and amend that soil. In other words, it may be some counseling. It may be for us to sit down and have a come to Jesus moment. These are my boundaries. This is my completely, I'm not tolerating this list. This is it. If you want this, then this is what you got to work with, all right? Or it may be completely overhauling like I did. And it's not easy. Literally, my back went out overhauling that. My back went out for 3 days. Overhauling that bad dirt that came from the front yard to the backyard. Overhauling that. I had everything set up perfectly the way that it needed to be. I put the raised beds in, put good dirt in, and then I made the decision without looking at the soil first to sow that soil from the front yard into the backyard that was already well prepared. All right? It's hard work. It's frustrating. It's nothing that anybody wants to do. It may hurt you in the process of having to overhaul some things and say, I'm not tolerating this. It doesn't feel good. You've already attached yourself to some rocky stuff. You'd already told yourself, I'm going to accept it. So no, it doesn't feel good. But to you, I say in this season, we're not accepting plots of not growth. I'm not just going to accept that this plot ain't going to grow. Oh no, it's going to grow. And by any means necessary, it's going to grow. And so if I've got to take some stuff out, eventually you'll heal from the hurt of overhauling. My back is good now, baby. I'm walking, I'm running, I'm shouting, I'm dancing. My back is good, but it hurt in the process. It may hurt you in the process, but it's going to work out for your good later. All right? So yes, sow and grow. Yeah, we've been taught that. But what are you growing? Are you growing weeds? Are you growing crabgrass? Are you growing an unhealthy relationship? Are you growing poor mental health? Are you growing frustration? Are you growing dead stuff? Are you growing a future that is not viable? What is it that you're growing? Or are you going to make a decision to amend the soil, some in-depth counseling, some setting some boundaries, some doing some, this is what I will and will not tolerate? Or are you going to simply make a decision for yourself that this is not healthy, this is toxic, this is not going to grow anything if it remains in the state that it is. It matters not if I sat down and talked to that dirt and said, dirt, you better grow. Rocks, remove yourself. You say faith the size of a mustard seed, right? Faith without works is dead. So I can look at that rock all day long and say, rocks, get out of that dirt. It's not going to happen. I had to get that shovel because I made the decision to put it in there. I had my husband put it there rather. I had to make a decision to get it out of there. All right. Of course, he felt very bad that I hurt myself. I didn't tell him that I was trying to get all of that out of there. I was just trying to do it, be superwoman, just get it out by myself. but I hurt myself. It may hurt, but it's going to be well worth it in the end. I've already amended the dirt. I have to show you all a picture. I've already amended, took everything out, added new dirt in. I've already planted some new plants there. Got me some cucumbers growing there. Got me some green beans growing there. Some tomatoes growing there. Got me some asparagus growing there. It's already taken care of. But it was a process that required some sweat. That required some pain pills. And that required me to lay my butt down for a few days. All right? So, sow and grow. But be careful what you're sowing into. The soil is essential. Pay close attention to the soil. I'll say it again. Pay very close attention to the soil. May the Lord bless you on this Mental Health Monday. Father, I speak life into your people. I speak a desire for growth. I speak against and cast down the very thought of settling for anything less than your best. I pray, oh God, that you give us the fortitude, the desire, the heart to want more for ourselves in spite of a pattern of what looks like failures. I pray, Lord Jesus, that you would lead and you would guide us, that you would guide us in our decision making, that you would give us a spirit of discernment and let us know that we have to look at it first. We have to view it first. We have to spend some time with that thing first before we make decisions to say, you can move in. You can move into my space. You can move into this area. You can move in and be planted here. No. I'm going to have to spend some more time with that thing. Look at that thing carefully and see what it is working with to see if growth is going to happen there or if instead death is going to happen there. All right? I love you all. God bless you. Have an amazing